In this video we travel from North Uist in the Outer Hebrides to Commonswood Caravan and Motorhome Club site just to the north of London in my Kia EV6 towing a caravan. We'll look at what charging stops are necessary and how much extra time we spent on the journey compared with a petrol or diesel car. We'll also compare the price between the two now that electricity is considerably more expensive than last year while fuel prices have dropped. We start off in the island of North Uist in the Outer Hebrides. All the North Uist ferries from Lochboisdale that weekend were full thanks to the cancellation of that ferry on the Thursday. Therefore we plan to get the 0550 ferry from Lochboisdale in South Uist to Mallaig and go from there. But just 48 hours before we were due to travel, CalMac cancelled all services from Lochboisdale for 30 days. Fortunately, we managed to get a place on the positioning move from Lochboisdale to Oban at 10:30, a 5.5 hour crossing. We set off with 100% battery, which after the 41-mile journey to Lochboisdale had only dropped to 81%. As I enjoyed the most amazing breakfast burrito from Crofton Cuan in Lochboisdale, I wondered how the businesses of South Uist will cope with the untimely withdrawal of their ferry services during the busiest month of the season. Our journey today is aboard the MV Lord of the Isles, normally on the Lochboisdale to Mallaig route, but today was on her way to cover the Isla service. Built in 1989, this 34-year-old vessel can carry 505 passengers and 56 cars and has a gross tonnage of 3,504 tonnes. It was a beautiful day and we enjoyed a spectacular crossing, although sadly for some of it I was slumped over a laptop in the pet lounge editing a video on the go. Instead of arriving in Mallaig at 9:20 in the morning, we arrived into Oban at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Destination of the day was Strathclyde Country Park Caravan and Motorhome Club site just to the southeast of Glasgow, 112 miles from Oban via Callander, avoiding the awful A82 up the side of Loch Lomond. We made great progress and easily had enough battery to make it all the way to Strathclyde Park without needing to stop, but without proper EV chargers at the campsite we would not have made it very far the next morning, so we had to stop at Castleview Park and Ride near Stirling. Last year the chargers here were free, but now they are all payable, although the cost is a reasonable 35 pence per kilowatt hour. So we've just arrived at Castleview Park and Ride in Stirling. That's taken us 2 hours and 15 minutes to do the 85 miles from Oban. We've still got 33% battery left and that will get us another 59 miles, 2.4 miles to the kilowatt hour, but we're going to charge up now for reasons I shall explain in just a moment. It's possible to charge hitched up at certain chargers, but we needed a rapid charge in order to get to the campsite before it closed at 8 p.m. And with my charging connection at the back of the car, I need to detach the caravan to access the rapid chargers. However, there is plenty of space at the park and ride to park the caravan nearby. The rapid charger delivered just 44 kilowatts, and as you can see, there is a 40-minute limit on using the charger. I am all in favour of imposing time limits, but 40 minutes is, in my opinion, unreasonable. It should be at least an hour. In the 40 minutes we were permitted, I managed to get the battery from 33% to just 67%. To the Caravanner achieving 2 miles to the kilowatt hour, that's going to give you just over 50 miles. Stirling Council really needs to rethink this ridiculous policy. 40-minute wait times are only viable for chargers that can deliver over 100 kilowatts, not 44 kilowatts. The facility itself has fallen into a very sad and sorry state. The rapid charger that we could have used with the caravan hitched up was still broken, just as it was in March when we last got here. The bus and coach charger is also broken. The amenity building is locked up, denying anyone using the place access to a toilet, and the landscaping has not been maintained. It's sad to see what could be a magnificent facility just being left to fall into rack and ruin. So now we are having to absolutely nail it to Strathclyde Country Park to try and get there before the site closes at 8 o'clock, which is a consequence of CalMac's retiming and rerouting of the ferry. There was only one ferry today that got to Oban at 4 o'clock, so there was no chance to get any other ferry, and we got to squeeze between the 4 o'clock arrival of the ferry and the 8 o'clock closure of the site, and we've had this 45-50 minute stop at Castleview Park and Ride in Stirling. All this could have been avoided had we been able to charge the car overnight fully at the campsite. There are car chargers at Strathclyde Park outside the campsite in the actual park itself, but I do not want to leave my car unattended on a Saturday night in Strathclyde Park. If the campsite had chargers, we could have avoided all this stress. And we have made it with 9 minutes to spare. So as you can see, we've nailed it on that section of the journey, and we've got 1.6 miles to the kilowatt hour. In our 27 miles, we've got 47% battery left. Let's go and check in. I paid the £9 fee to plug the car into the caravan, which would give us 2.2 kilowatts of charge overnight. Strathclyde Country Park Caravan and Motorhome Club site is a very useful place for an overnight stop, with easy access to the motorway and of course the park itself for relaxing and walking the dogs. So it is 5 to 11 and we've managed to get the battery up to a very respectable 81%. There we go, 10:56, let's go. Today we are heading to Clumber Park Caravan and Motorhome Club site, a total distance of 244 miles. The plan was to stop and charge the car at Gretna, a distance of 75 miles, and then again at either Scotch Corner or preferably Wetherby, simply because the chargers at Wetherby are more plentiful. So we've arrived at Gretna Green Services. We've done 2 miles to the kilowatt hour. It's taken 1 hour 24 minutes to do 73 miles, not too bad at all. We started with a battery of 81% and we're on 35% now. So it's time to detach the Caravan and go around to the Ionity chargers and see how long we've got to wait. Just come around to the Ionity chargers. One charger's out of use, so there are only 3 chargers available and there are 2 cars queuing. So we ended up waiting a total of 30 minutes and now we're plugged in. You can see we're getting nearly 200 kilowatts of charge, which means we can get to 80%. It was 18 minutes when I plugged in. Been fucking with the camera. I want to go up to 90% now because of getting to Wetherby services. We'll see how long it takes to get to 90%. But the thing is now, with 15 minutes to 80%, it's not worth going back to the Caravan, which is 5 minutes walk away. So we're just going to sit here and wait. I gave the dogs a quick walk while the car was charging, and as nobody was waiting, we ended up charging up to 97%. 1 hour after arriving, we finally got to the Caravan to get some lunch. Okay, so we have 97% battery left. We're on 14215 miles. Let's go to Wetherby, 118 miles. We should be good. We didn't hang about, but the traffic along the A66 was slow. Upon arrival at Wetherby services, I thought about chancing taking the Caravan down to the car charging area and parking it in a free car bay. But when I saw the queue to get into the services at 4 PM on a Sunday afternoon, I thought better of it and parked the Caravan in the proper Caravan parking area before driving around to the chargers. Gridserve has invested a lot of money into its infrastructure at Wetherby, and even though every ultra-rapid charger was occupied when we arrived, one became free within about 30 seconds. Okay, so we're plugged in. You can see we've got 173 kilowatts. It's going to take 16 minutes to get to 80%. It's only about 60 miles to Clumber Park where we're going to stay tonight. So I'm only going to go in up to about 60%. There's about 10 minutes, which is not enough time to go back to the Caravan. So I'll just walk the dogs and then we'll go back to the Caravan. And then we'll make a cup of tea. So we are exhausted. 66% battery, and it is 5:45 because I've stayed an extra hour to do some editing, upload my video, make a cup of tea, and we have got, when the sat nav kicks in, in your own time. No, really, it's fine. 55 miles to Clumber Park Caravan and Motorhome Club site. Let's go. So we've arrived at Clumber Park, 33% battery left. I cut the car off before I remembered to film. So we did 2 miles to the kilowatt hour once again on the way here. But I will now show you why we've come to the Caravan and Motorhome Club site at Clumber Park. So here is the reason we've come to Clumber Park, is because they have 2 car charging bollards, each with 2 sockets, which makes 4 car charging sockets just outside reception here. Shame that this guy happens to be blocking one of them, but you know, that's just a notice here. There's nothing on the car park to say that this is for car charging only. Anyway, only after connecting your car are you then presented with the price. Just a thought, but would it be acceptable for petrol stations to only display the price when you've put the fuel nozzle in your tank? As you can see, the price is 60.8 pence per kilowatt hour, and you need to choose how much energy you want in advance. Therefore, you need the skills of a mathematician to work out the size of your battery, the percentage you need, and then convert that percentage into kilowatt hours. Why does everything with EVs have to be so complicated? I selected 10 kilowatt hours to start with to see how much percentage of battery that would give me. The machine took my money but failed to dispense any electricity. I tried the other bollard and this time had success. As a footnote, I reported the faulty bollard to the site manager the next day, and my £6.08 that I was overcharged was promptly refunded. And it's giving us 11 kilowatts. I returned an hour later and put another 2 hours on the car. I could have left it all night, but I decided to retrieve the car at 10:30 p.m. and plug it into the Caravan to finish it off overnight. In 3 hours, my 77 kilowatt hour battery had gone from 33% to 68%, meaning that for this size of battery, you're getting about 12% for every hour that you're plugged in if you're pulling 11 kilowatts. The presence of EV chargers at Clumber Park is a game changer. Our journey the next day was to Commonswood Caravan and Motorhome Club site 20 miles to the north of London, a distance of 125 miles. Thanks to being able to easily get the battery up to 100%, we could look forward to doing the trip in one hit. Not having to stop and charge gave us extra time to relax and enjoy the morning with a run in the beautiful park, a slow and delicious breakfast, and some much needed chill time with a fresh coffee. And here we are, Commonswood Caravan and Motorhome Club site. We've did it in one hit. 2 hours and 34 minutes to do 125 miles, and we still have 24% battery left. So as you can see, having a charger on site and being able to do a run like this in one hit without the faff of disconnecting the caravan to charge it is a game changer. For the 524 mile journey, it cost £90.88 in electricity, working out to 17.34 pence per mile. For a car that returns 28 miles per gallon towing, it would have cost £123.25 in petrol, assuming a price of £1.45 per litre. To see how I made these calculations, please check out my newsletter, Electric Touring. I'll leave a link to that in the description below this video. So here we are finally at Commonswood Caravan and Motorhome Club site, about 20 miles to the north of London, after a 2.5 day journey. Now, I estimate that our journey took 2.5 hours longer because of having an EV than it would have done if we'd have had a petrol or diesel car. I credit that to 1 hour at Stirling at Castleview Park and Ride, charging there, 1 hour extra at Gretna Green, and half an hour extra because of the faff at Wetherby services. However, if we'd have done this journey this time last year, it would have taken an extra 3.5 hours because we would have needed a charging stop today at Peterborough services, which we didn't need now because the Caravan and Motorhome Club have installed EV chargers at Clumber Park. Now, we could have saved that hour at Stirling at Castleview Park and Ride if there were chargers at Strathclyde Country Park, so that would have been 1 hour saved. We would have saved half an hour at Gretna if there hadn't been a queue, if Ionity had invested as much in Gretna as Gridserve has done in Wetherby with all those chargers there where you just turn up and charge. So that's 1.5 hours, and then I think we lost half an hour both at Gretna and at Wetherby because of the faff of having to detach the caravan, lock it up and take the car to the chargers. So that could have been saved if there were pull-through chargers, if there were chargers that you could use with the caravan. So you could, in theory, have added 0 extra time to the journey because the time spent actually charging is time that you can use to walk the dogs and make a cup of tea. So it's not there yet, 2.5 hours extra. But it would have been 3.5 hours extra last year. If there was a charger at Strathclyde Country Park, it would have been 1.5 hours extra. If there was no queue at Gretna, it would have been just 1 hour extra. So I think it's coming, but it's still taking a bit longer. So I hope you found this useful. If you did, I would be massively grateful if you would share this video with your friends online via social media or through your favorite forum. If you enjoyed this video, folks, please do give us a thumbs up, subscribe if you don't already, and it just leaves me to say from the diva himself, who's obviously just going to appear to say goodbye. Now we've done all the hard work. Dougal! Oh, the effort. Come on, Dougal. Look, your public are waiting. They only tune in to see you, so it just leaves me to say, from Dougal, from Ted, and from me, thanks for tuning in. There, that was a nice smooth journey, wasn't it, boys? Well, you quite like it. You like it because it's nice and smooth and quiet. I only bought the car because of you, Dougal. Despite that, he never smiles. Dougal, you could be a bit more animated. I spent all that money on an EV for you.